Welcome to the 5th and special episode of Lexiconversations. I'm David Matthew Nang, and today we are here in Universiti Malaya, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, the _1 university here in Malaysia. Today with me are the prestigious professors that we have from University of Southeastern Philippines, Professor Sajed Isinggilan and Professor Francisco Regino. And today with our special guest, Dr. Mohammed Al-Aqad, Assistant Professor from the Faculty of Language and Linguistics, Universiti Malaya. All right, so Dr. Mohammed, for our first question, Dr. Al-Aqad, you're a highly accomplished scholar in applied linguistics. So could you take us back to the beginning and share how your interest in language first developed?
Yep, thank you so much for this wonderful interview. My first interest in language really began out of necessity rather than ambition. So I grew up in a multilingual environment where languages were more than communication. I was survival. So language actually, it was a survival and identity, and also sometimes resilience and resistance. So in terms of translation and converse interpretation, language is really the keystone here, because without understanding languages, you won't be able to translate from language to other language. So translation is considered the bridge between the languages and between the communities. Without a translation and without mastering at least 2 languages, you won't be able to be a good translator. So my journey starts where I appreciate my mother tongue language. Mm-hmm. So it's very important where you need to appreciate and you need to acknowledge your mastering the skills of your mother tongue language, where you can improve next to the next level of second or third languages. So this is very important. I really advise most of the novice converse interpreters or novice translators to focus on the skills of mastering your first language, then jump over to the next, whether it's as a second language or a foreign language. This will make you capable to be a very good converse interpreter and professional converse simultaneous or consecutive interpreter, inshallah.
All right, thank you so much for that wonderful answer, Dr. Mohammed. And also for the second question, with over 15 years of experience, your journey spans countries, cultures, and academic spaces. Which part of the journey posed the greatest challenge, and how did it shape your approach to research and teaching?
Yep, this is a very, very important question. Actually, the hardest part of my journey was navigating academic spaces across different cultures, where you can see the academic dialogue used in different culture and how it differs from culture to culture, from country to country. This is very important. Like every space had its own expectation on us, its own academic accent, so to speak, and also learning to just without losing my own thought of humility and resilience. This is very important, where you can also use a language as a bridge or as a dialogue where you can interpret and enhance your expectation of understanding the other language. So understanding language is really helped me and shaped my teaching by making me more attentive to my student background, and also it is it's very influenced in my ways of doing research, my way of teaching the student, and my way of mentoring my own student.
All right, thanks so much. Also, next for the next set of questions is also, when it comes to teaching, you teach concepts that deal with language and culture. How do you make these ideas come alive and meaningful for your students?
Yeah, this is a very, very critical question where most of the students actually fail in. So for me personally, I try to bring language down from theoretical sky and place it into student daily realities. Instead of lecturing about culture, about teaching, or about English, I show the student how culture appears in their daily WhatsApp messages, in their daily family communication. So this is where the student can see the impact of culture in their daily WhatsApp messages, in their daily communication, on their daily WhatsApp or social media communication with their family member. This is where we can see the impact of the real culture in our social life. So even the way they interpret silence, this is also considered a culture. When you ask a question, when someone asks you a question and you did not reply, you just knock by your head. This is the culture. So everything in our life is a culture. But unfortunately, most of us, we do not understand this. Everything in our life, in our daily life, daily routine is a culture. So when the students see themselves in the materials, the concept stop being abstract. So this is where we become personal and where we need to understand our own culture, where we are practicing our culture on the daily basis with our communities.
So yeah, I really do agree with your statement. Again, as a student myself, it's really sometimes it's better to experience or know the theories on the fly or having to experience it rather than just reading it. Or because usually in one of our subjects, it's most of the time it's theories.
Yep.
But once you apply it on a daily basis or you experience those type of theories on a daily basis, you somewhat internalize the learnings, the knowledge, rather than just basically memorizing theories.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, thank you so much for that one. For the next question, hang on tight. Number 4 would be, what common misconceptions do students bring into your classroom about language and culture, and how do you address or challenge them?
So far, I can see the most recent misconception about this for the student about the language and culture. The student believe that languages are fixed with right and wrong, which is not true at all. Language is a kind of dynamic things. It change across culture. It change across times. So from 50 years back up to now, we can see a lot of changes in even our mother tongue languages, whether in Arabic, in Filipino, in Tagalog, in Malaysian language. A lot of and the huge changes in terms of the dictionary, in terms of grammatical theories, in terms of the language use itself. So language is a dynamic thing. It's not a fixed with a right or wrong. Language could be even interpreted across culture. Language could be interpreted across ideology, which is very, very critical. And we need to teach this to our students. Language is beyond that right or wrong thing. Language is a dynamic theory, is a dynamic tool where we can use to navigate our daily life routine and navigate our future.
All right, thanks so much. So yeah, for the next question, aside from being a faculty member of the University Malaya, you're also a founder and CEO of the Asian Federation of Translators and Interpreters. Given that, how do you see the future of translation in the age of AI and machine translation?
Yeah, this is very interesting because I personally am undoubtedly that AI is very important and it is really transforming our life. In the just last 2-3 years, starting from 2022, 2023 up to now, we can see a huge change in terms of knowledge and data transformation, just because of the use of AI and ChatGPT and Copilot and so on. So in terms of translation, like some of the students, they see like translation or AI in the translation field is a threat. Actually, I don't see it as a threat or as an enemy. No, actually, I see AI as a slave. We are the master. You are the master. They are the master. We are the master, and the AI is the slave. Where you need to guide it, where he can help, in which area he can help you, and which area he can refine your text, which area he can assist you. So we have to understand this. AI is a slave, and you are the master. You are the rider for AI. AI is not going to ride you. You are going to give the correct prompt to AI where he can help you. For me personally, as a conference interpreter, just a few days back, I was doing a simultaneous conference interpretation for the Malaysian and the worldwide, what we call international parliamentary members around the world, around 200 plus members from the world parliaments, around 62 countries around the world. So they were present there, and I was doing conference interpretation about AI, the use of AI in the parliamentary rooms, how they are going to use AI. So the discussion and the dialogue were very important and very critical, where they start mentioning about the strategies where we should use in the near future, and the data center where we have to have many data centers in Southeast Asia and in ASEAN countries, so we can power up our own AI tools and AI platform. This is very interesting, and in terms of whether AI is going to replace us, I don't think so. Even in the next 20, 30 years, AI is not going to replace a human being. AI is going to replace the person who is not equipped or he is not prepared to use AI. Of course, AI will be replacing him or replacing her. Why? Because he's still using the traditional method of teaching. He's still using the traditional method of translation, which is he need to go to the dictionary, look for a word, look for a synonym, which is this considered very obsolete strategies and techniques. Nowadays, everything you can use it with a ChatGPT or AI platform. In less than few seconds, you can have a list of glossaries where you want all these glossaries can help you in a minute during your conference or simultaneous interpretation. So using AI is really critical and important, and of course it's going to boost up your productivity in the future.
All right, just a follow-up question on that one, Dr. Mohammed. Wouldn't it be a threat for people who have being a translator as their job? Wouldn't it be a threat, or wouldn't it be a decrease in demand for translators now that these AI options are available?
Yeah, this is a critical question, and yes, your answer is truly, you hit the nail right on the head. Your answer is true. In terms of translation, out of the scope of conference or interpretation, let's go to the translation part. Yes, AI nowadays start reducing the workload for the human translators, because most of the translation agencies nowadays, they tend to use AI translation to translate the document, and after that they send it to a human translator to proofread, not to translate. And the cost will be reduced by 70 to 80%, by the way. For example, instead of translating one file for 10 USD, $10, you will be proofreading a file for 2 USD. You see the big gap. Because why? Because the company now or the agencies start using AI to translate the document and tend to human translator to proofread. This is not so good, and for me personally, I won't engage myself in such business because this is waste of time and waste of effort. Most of the AI translation actually not accurate, and there is a lot of hallucination based on many proofs and data center information, and based on scientific information. A lot of AI have a lot of hallucination and misinformation, especially where the document that is going to be translated is a very critical document. For example, legal document or a medical report, which is very severe document. Any simple mistake could end up with a death or killing of someone. So this kind of field, I do not recommend using AI at all in it.
Yeah, because in the past few years, the progress or the increase of use of AI increased its capability to do translation. Before the release of AI, I think they can do word-for-word translation, but now some of the AIs can do faithful translation, sense for sense. It's now trying to compete with the human translators. So that's one of the things that I thought of now that the age of AI is coming, and it's really somewhat a detriment for me. Personally, I do think that it's a detriment for human translators.
This is true, but if you are able to use AI platform properly in your translation, AI will never replace you, because there are some minor mistakes, some human touch need to be added to the AI translation. AI will never be 100% accurate. Even if the percentage of accuracy 85 or sometimes exceed 90% could be in some certain cases, but the human touch will be missed. When you read the text that is truly or 100% translated by AI, you will never feel as this is the original text. You will feel that it's exactly look like a translated text. Why? Because the translation is not communicating with you. It feels like someone is pushing the word to your mind. So it's not human like a translation. This is the main problem. Where you translate it or you put your final touch as a human translator, you can make it more humanized, which is easily for the people to understand and see. Oh, it's really very good. Is it the translation or this is the source text? So they cannot differentiate whether this is the source text or the target text. Why? Because it's exactly matching their knowledge and their information. Your text, your translation piece actually communicating with their minds. This is what we want, and this is what AI cannot do so far.
All right, thank you so much for that wonderful question. So yeah, also for the next question, in translation studies, which one of your research interests remaining faithful extends beyond language to cultural and ethnical dimensions? How do you ensure that your academic interpretations do not overshadow or distort the authenticity of the voices you translate?
Yep, this is very important. Whenever you mention about authenticity and faithfulness, it is a very critical information, very critical point where we need to look more in terms of religious, terms of translating political field, religious field, political field, medical domain, where this should be trustworthy and you use faithful translation, because any simple mistake could endanger the people who may use this translation. This is quite interesting because sometime in converse interpretation, whether, for example, you are doing a general converse interpretation or political or medical converse interpretation, it's a very strict for converse interpretation, especially if they are medical converse interpretation, talking about, for example, before a few years, I was engaged as a conference interpreter with Pfizer company. All of you know Pfizer.
Yeah.
I worked with them for a conference interpretation for 2 days. And actually, the process of engaging the conference interpreter was very tough, not an easy. So they're not looking for just any conference interpreter and engage with it. No, it's a very strict because they need to have your CV, they need to have an interview to interview you before you conduct your interpretation, because they want to see about you, they want to see your background in the field, whether you have medical term background or not. So you need to be prepared. Not every interpreter could be a medical or legal interpreter, because this is very strict and very severe areas where there is no mistake are allowed.
Okay, so the translation needs to be on point.
Yep, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. For the next question, that would be, as we know, the English language is often seen as a global asset, but also a tool of inequality. How does your research confront or unpack this paradox and promote other indigenous languages as well?
For me personally, my research looks at how language can empower, but also marginalize language. I try to highlight that linguistic diversity is not a barrier. It's not a barrier at all. So it's a resource. It's a resource. Linguistic diversity is a resource for all of us, where we can benefit a lot from linguistic diversity. By documenting local practices, integrating indigenous languages in the research, and prompting multilingual pedagogy, I think we will be able to challenge the idea that English language must dominate. So instead of that, I argue for a more balanced ecosystem where all languages have their own space. So English language is no more is going to be, for example, the core of the focus or the spot point for every discussion. No. Nowadays, we need to focus also on our own identities, our own language. We need to enrich our language, because this is what we call the cultural diversity. We need to focus on our own languages and enrich, sustain, maintain our cultural identity as well.
All right, thank you so much. Next is when feedback from fellow scholars challenges your assumptions or methodology, how do you decide which critics or integrate, and which to respectfully set aside?
Yeah, this is quite interesting because usually I receive some feedback from my colleagues or my co-partners. I welcome critique. It's a part of being a researcher. When I receive feedback, usually I ask two questions. Does this critique strengthen the clarity of my argument? Does this critique or this point empowering my feedback is going to feedback me in the future or not? So this is the good question. And the other question, does this question or this feedback align with the theoretical direction of my work? Is it going to help me to navigate a better direction for my future career or from my field? If yes, of course, I will incorporate this critique overwhelmingly, overheartedly. If not, I acknowledge the feedback or the critique and I respectfully accept it. But also, I remain true to the vision of my research and to the vision of my expertise.
All right, thanks so much. And for the next question, you are both an educator and a researcher. How do these two roles influence each other? How does your research affect your teaching, and how does teaching influence your research?
Yeah, for my research, I usually focus on the same field where I'm doing my professional work or my other work. For example, my research usually focus or spans around translation, conference interpretation, language communication, which is my industrial or my background focus also the same. So when I match between my research and my work experience the same, this will empower both, because your research actually helping to push up and to boost your academic experience. Your academic experience and your industrial experience will help you to gain or to write more about research from industrial background, which very rare for the people to write about.
All right. And next would be, as an acclaimed researcher, you have explored many problems in linguistics. What's one insight you've gained outside the classroom that no textbook could ever teach?
Yeah, this is a fantastic question. So one insight I learned from life is that language is deeply emotional. Language is really very, very emotional. People do not just speak, they feel through their language. They have the feeling through their language. They do not just speak out of nothing. They think about what they want to say. They feel about what they want to say, whether positive or negative. So no textbook tells you how much trauma, how much joy, how much memory can be carried in a single word. Sometimes one word equals thousands of words. One photo equals thousands of dictionaries. Only one photo equals thousand, or explain thousands of ideas by showing one single photo. So when you realize that language cannot tell everything, so you approach language which is more empathy. This is what we need to focus on. We need to focus on a more empathized language and more emotional language, because the language we speak actually it reflects what the emotion we have, what the thought we have.
All right, thanks so much. And next is, for young scholars who admire your work, what is the one truth you wish someone had told you when you were starting out?
This is very interesting, but I never thought about this. Like, what I wished if someone advised me about something when I was a younger schooler. I wished someone had told me not to fear the slow years, Academia is not a race. This is what we need to understand. Academia is not a race. It's a long conversation. Some seasons are productive, others are reflective. So we are not producing scopus, we are not producing articles every single month or every single semester. Some are productive, some are reflective. So this semester you may be able to produce some articles or some productive conference interpretation meetings or conferences, but some other season you may not produce anything, but you may be reflecting, learning from others, engaging with other classmates or collaborators. This is very interesting because it's not every time or every part of our life is productive. So, like as we all know, life is up and downs. This is the human life. So you won't be rich forever. You won't be poor forever. You won't be schooler and top schooler forever. Sometime up and down. This is the human life. So what matters in our life is consistency, curiosity, and integrity. This is the most three important parts, not the speed.
All right, thank you so much. And next is, if we say language is power, as we always emphasize in the field of applied linguistics, how has it empowered you to change the world in your own way?
How empowered me to change the world? Yes, for me personally, let me share a personal experience with you. For me personally, as Palestinian from Gaza, language is very important for us because through language we can understand the ideology of the other people. We can understand the ideology of our enemies, how they think, how they try to approach our leaders, how they try to kill our scholars, how they try to kill our mothers and daughters. This is very important. We can't understand this without understanding the language. Understanding the language is not only the solution, but understanding the meaning and the ideology behind the language, which is very critical. So language allowed me to bridge the word, to bridge words between communities, between culture, and sometimes between conflict, and understanding all of them together. So whether through teaching, converse interpretation, or writing, I have even seen how the right words at the right moment can open minds and ease tension clearly. So sometimes when you mention the right word at the right time, you can stop days of negotiation, days of discussion. But you just mention the right solution at the right time. You can stop days of discussion, hours of conflict, just by mentioning the right solution, the right word. So that's for me, like language is the true power of our life. Language is a very important part in our life. It's a very important tool. We have to understand it.
All right, thank you so much for all of those questions, or rather all of those answers. So we will now have our fast talk session. You will just have to reply with what's the first word that comes into mind when I discuss something. All right, what word comes into mind for Malaysia?
Malaysia, truly Asia, is a very greedy and a very peaceful country where you can have everything more than Europe, and at the same time it's Islamic and multicultural, multi-ethnicity country, which is a very peaceful and a lovely country, lovely people.
All right. Next would be translation.
Translation is my future.
All right. Next would be Palestine.
Palestine is my identity, my blood, my culture.
All right. Next is linguistics.
Linguistics is the domain where I belong to.
All right, so that is it, and that wraps up our session with the 5th episode, or special episode of the Lexiconversations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Dr. Mohammed.
Thank you so much.